The cupcake was still warm when they told me to leave. 18 candles flickering in the chocolate frosting. Happy birthday, Maya, written in pink icing. And my parents standing there with a locksmith's receipt and matching smiles of satisfaction. Adults pay their own way, my father said, sliding the new house key into his pocket. You're 18 now. Time to learn how the real world works. My mother nodded, cutting herself a slice of my birthday cake. We've coddled you long enough. This will build character. I stood on our front porch, their front porch now, holding a backpack with 2 changes of clothes and my laptop. They'd given me 30 minutes to pack. 30 minutes to erase 18 years of living in that house. Where am I supposed to go? I asked, rain starting to fall like a cliché. That's for adults to figure out, Dad said. We did you a favor letting you stay through high school. Most kids would be grateful. Grateful. For being allowed to exist in my childhood home until the legal second I became an adult. Can I at least? The door closed. The porch light went off. Through the window, I could see them settling in to eat my birthday cake, probably congratulating themselves on their tough love parenting. I walked to the bus stop, rain soaking through my jacket, and called the only person who might help. Emmy, it's Maya. Can I crash on your couch tonight? That first week was hell. Sleeping on friends' couches, showering at the gym where I'd luckily prepaid a year membership, applying for jobs between classes at community college. My parents had timed it perfectly, kicked me out right before finals, ensuring maximum disruption. They'd always been cold, practical people. Love was conditional based on achievement. Affection had price tags. But I thought blood meant something. Apparently, it expired at 18. The texts from classmates were salt in the wound. My parents had posted on Facebook about their empty nest. How proud they were that I was spreading my wings. Comments poured in congratulating them on raising such an independent daughter. No mention of the locksmith. No mention of eating my birthday cake as I stood in the rain. A week into my homelessness, I remembered something. Grandpa Joe's last words to me, whispered in the hospital when I was 15. Phoenix State Bank, Box 447. When you need it most. I thought he was delirious from the medication. He died 2 days later, leaving everything to my parents in his will. The house, the savings, the investments. They'd sold his home immediately, used the money to renovate their kitchen. But Phoenix State Bank, Box 447. I took 3 buses to get there, using quarters scrounged from Emmy's couch cushions. The bank was old-fashioned, all marble and mahogany, the kind of place that still had human tellers instead of just ATMs. I need to access safety deposit box 447, I told the clerk, trying to sound like I belonged there in my wrinkled clothes and desperate eyes. Name, Maya Chen. She typed, frowned, typed again. I'll need to see ID. My hands shook as I handed over my driver's license, the one that proved I was 18. Adult enough to be homeless, but maybe adult enough for whatever Grandpa had left. Follow me, Miss Chen. The vault was like something from a movie. Walls of metal boxes, 2 keys required for each. She'd inserted the bank's key, then handed me a small envelope that had been waiting in their files. Inside, a key and a note in Grandpa's shaky handwriting. For Maya on her 18th birthday. They'll show you who they are. Be ready. He'd known. Somehow, he'd known exactly what my parents would do. Box 447 was larger than standard. Inside were 3 things that changed everything. First, a letter dated 3 years ago, 2 months before his death. My dear Maya, if you're reading this, your parents have done what I feared they would. They measure love in dollars and see children as investments with expiration dates. I've watched them count down to your 18th birthday like it was a prison release. I'm sorry I couldn't protect you while I was alive, but I can protect you now. Your parents think they inherited everything. They're wrong. Love, Grandpa Joe. Second, a bank book for an account at a different bank. The balance made me sit down right there on the vault floor. $487,000. Third, a folder of documents that took my breath away. Deeds, titles, stock certificates, and a trust document naming me sole beneficiary activated on my 18th birthday. My grandfather hadn't just left me money. He'd left me everything my parents thought they'd gotten. Their inheritance had been a mirage, a careful construction of surface assets while the real wealth waited in this box. The house they lived in. The deed was in trust transferring to me today. The car my father drove. Title in the trust. The investment portfolio they'd been living off? Suddenly mine. But the masterpiece was the letter from Grandpa's lawyer, dated and notarized. As of Maya Chen's 18th birthday, all temporary assets transfer to the Chen Family Trust with Maya Chen as sole beneficiary. Previous residents have 30 days to vacate premises. Previous residents, my parents. I sat in that bank vault laughing and crying simultaneously. Grandpa had played a 3-year con, letting my parents think they'd inherited wealth while ensuring everything would transfer to me the moment they showed their true colors. Be ready, his note had said. I was ready. The lawyer Grandpa had retained was expecting my call. Miss Chen, happy birthday. I assume you visited the bank. They kicked me out, I said. On my birthday, changed the locks. Perfect. I mean, I'm sorry for your pain, but your grandfather predicted this exactly. He said they do it the moment you turned 18. Man was a prophet. So what happens now? Now we serve them with eviction papers. They have 30 days to leave your house. My house. The words felt foreign. What about the money they've spent? The renovations. Check page 47 of the trust. Any improvements to trust property become part of the trust. They renovated your kitchen. The next morning, I retained my own locksmith. If they wanted to play the adults pay their own way game, I'd play to win. I also hired a moving company, a process server, and treated Emmy to breakfast at the nicest restaurant in town. You're taking this well, Emmy said, watching me methodically plan over pancakes. My grandfather spent 3 years planning this. The least I can do is execute it properly. The process server knocked on my parents' door, my door, at exactly 5:47 p.m. I know because I was parked across the street, windows down, savoring the moment. My father answered in his loungewear, probably settling in for another night in his stolen house. The server handed him the papers and said the words I'd scripted. You've been served. You have 30 days to vacate the premises. Happy birthday to Maya. The explosion was visible from the street. My father's face went from confusion to rage to something like fear. My mother appeared, snatched the papers, read them in disbelief. Then they saw me, sitting in Emmy's car, window down, eating a piece of birthday cake I'd bought myself. I waved. They stormed across the street, papers clutched like weapons. What is this? Dad demanded. What did you do? Adults pay their own way, I quoted back. I'm paying. You're not. Therefore, you need to leave my house. Your house? This is our house. We've lived here for 3 years, I know. Living in Grandpa's house, spending Grandpa's money, all while planning to kick out Grandpa's granddaughter. I took another bite of cake. He knew you would. Planned for it. Pretty genius, actually. My mother was crying. Actual tears. Maya, sweetie, this is all a misunderstanding. We were teaching you a lesson. You taught me perfectly. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. You showed me that family means nothing to you. So now you mean nothing to me, or to the trust, or to the house you're living in. Where are we supposed to go? She wailed. That's for adults to figure out, I said, starting the car. You have 30 days. I'd start packing. The next month was a circus. They try everything. First, lawyers. But Grandpa's documents were ironclad, crafted by the best estate attorney in the state. Every challenge failed. Then, emotional manipulation. Suddenly I was their beloved daughter again. They loved me, missed me. This was all a mistake. I responded by hiring security to keep them from approaching me at school. Next, family pressure. Aunts, uncles, cousins all called to say how cruel I was being. I sent them copies of the locksmith receipt and my parents' Facebook posts about their empty nest. The calls stopped. Finally, bargaining. They'd let me move back in. We'd be a family again. Share the house. You changed the locks on my birthday, I reminded them. You ate my cake while I stood in the rain. No. On day 29, they moved out. I hired a company to deep clean the house, changed the locks again. Irony is delicious. And moved in on what would have been day 31 of my homelessness. The house felt different without their cold presence. Warmer. Like Grandpa's spirit had been waiting for them to leave. I found things they'd missed in their rush. Photo albums, his war medals, the watch he'd worn every day. In his study, hidden behind tax returns, I found another letter. Maya, if you're reading this in my house, then my plan worked. I'm sorry I couldn't give you parents who deserved you, but I could give you the power to choose your own family. The money isn't about revenge, it's about freedom. Freedom to be kind without being weak. Freedom to love without conditions. Freedom to become who you are, not who they demanded. Live well. Live warmly. The house remembers love. Fill it with yours. Grandpa. I cried then, not the angry tears of abandonment or the shocked tears of discovery, but the clean tears of grief for a man who loved me better from the grave than my parents had in life. My parents found an apartment across town. They both had to take second jobs to afford it. Apparently, they'd been living entirely off what they thought was their inheritance. My mother works retail now. My father delivers groceries. Adults paying their own way. They sent a Christmas card that first year. I donated it to the food bank, unopened. Charity for those who needed it more than I needed their conditional love. I graduated college debt-free, Grandpa's trust covering everything. On my diploma, I listed him as my parent. He'd earned it more in death than they had in life. The house is full now, not of blood family but chosen family. Emmy has a room, so does Jake from my support group, kicked out for being gay. And Sarah, whose parents chose their new family over their first daughter. We cook dinners together, celebrate birthdays properly, create the warmth my parents never provided. Last week, I saw my mother at the grocery store. She was stocking shelves, looking older and tired. She saw me and started to approach. Maya. No, simple. Final. Adult. She stopped, nodded, went back to her work. Adults accepting consequences. I bought my groceries and left, driving home to my grandfather's house, my house, where birthday cakes are shared, not stolen, where locks protect, not punish, where love doesn't expire at 18. They were right about one thing: adults do pay their own way. They just never expected the bill to come due on their choices, never expected that their daughter would have the means to pay it in full. Grandpa knew, Grandpa prepared, and when they showed me who they were, I was ready. They had no idea what was coming next. But Grandpa did. He always did. And in the end, that made all the difference between being homeless at 18 and being home.